After Hours Gaming League Season 2, Week 2, Game 3. Whoo! Between Epic and Zynga. Spawning in the right position from Team Zynga is none other than ShamWow. Not only one of my favorite names in the entire league, but one of the strongest players on Zynga. As you may note, he is a Zynga Zerg. In the bottom left position,
we do see Crabtastic playing for Team Epic. He'll be the red Zerg.
Yeah, and I liked. Oh my God, he's catching a table.
Whoa. Oh wow, that's good manners.
You flip tables from the left, but look at that, he's catching it. That's incredible. Either that or
what a sweetie pie.
Either that or he's trying to get into a crawl space. One of the two. We see Crabtastic
hiding from Zynga. That I get the next game's gonna be Tunnelville.
I don't know. That would be a lot of fun. Now you're gonna dig.
And dig.
Now you're gonna dig. You're gonna keep digging. How's your wage doing? Still minimum? Well, that continues that way till the end of the game. In the right position, ShamWow. Also, we see another Zerg vs. Zerg coming up. Both players going to begin scouting, sending their overlords out. We do see that Crabtastic opting for a little bit of drone scouting at the start of the game, which wouldn't surprise me if he's going to be early expanding. But look at this. Oh, people certainly love things that help them get Baneling nests. He's getting an early extractor. I would honestly be a little bit surprised to see Banelings on this map. I mean, the distances are so huge.
I mean, I guess
so slow.
I guess at this point we'll see very soon. But Crabtastic over here not opting to build that extractor. Clearly he's not worried about it because he is getting out for that 15 hatch.
So bold. Now, you know what? I have to attack something that I just said.
Okay.
Banelings on this map can be fairly effective, but
if your opponent... Oh, I thought that you were going to follow up talking about if your opponent throws that hatchery out there, because this could put him in pretty decent position.
Oh, I mean, yeah, with the hatchery up like this, it's going to be a really good opportunity to put on a ton of pressure. You know your opponent can't have Banelings up, but here's the real threat. You have to morph the Banelings here. If you morph them back at your own base, you may as well uninstall Starcraft 2, build a Reaver, and send it into a relay race, because it has a higher chance of getting first place. So Crabtastic, with these huge positions, is nearly Baneling immune as long as he keeps a really active watch on this space right outside the front. But it looks like ShamWow not minding any more gas is going to go Banelings.
Yeah, and so he's doing an awesome job because getting that metabolic boost is just so crucial. We talk about that all the time, just how much StarCraft 2 is very much an information-based game. And if you have speedlings before your opponent, you get free information.
That is absolutely true, and your opponent cannot move out to the middle. He can't take the watchtower. He always runs the risk of running into your speed-upgraded Zerglings, which will track you down and eliminate you very Mafia style. There's the hatchery planting for ShamWow, so it looks like he's going to delay his expansion a bit. He's claiming, I'm going to do more economic damage to you than you gain from having this early base.
And Crabtastic throwing down that first spine crawler. He knows that there's a good chance that his opponent is going to come over there with some units, but by placing that single spine crawler out there, it's pretty much completely safe. He's also got Zerglings of his own as well. And right now, ShamWow is going to try to keep those lings alive just long enough for his metabolic boost to finish, because he does not want to lose his only 4 lings this early.
And right now, Crabtastic, I think, is doing a smart decision, but it's going to turn out to be a little bit of a dangerous one. He's building that Baneling nest, desperately trying to get some sort of defense for a ton of Zerglings. But what do we see? Okay, well, we also see another Baneling nest from ShamWow, who actually is indeed going to be putting the pressure on, a little bit different from his previous games, where he really likes droning up and freaking his opponent out.
Oh man, and there we see that metabolic boost finishing up. Oh, and he gets into the main base for free. We saw Crabtastic move his lings away from the ramp, which means that now Zynga's got all that infos.
ShamWow sees absolutely everything that's going on and somehow managed to escape with just a single ling dying. He has very slithery, liquid-like Zerglings. ShamWow now finishing up his Baneling nest, getting Queen numero 2 coming up. Now, in ShamWow's shoes, I wouldn't be surprised to see Banelings used defensively, but it looks like ShamWow really loves being aggressive.
And I mean, who wouldn't with such cleaning power?
See ShamWow now continuing to add on a couple of drones. The Zynga Zerg definitely valuing that good old macro. Banelings have been planted back home. Crabtastic has not really mined very much from this expansion, as we can see in that unit tab. Whoa! 23 to 18 drones. And for any of you who can't deal with percentages, this bar
pretty much tells us 50-50.
Yeah. I don't know why these two numbers don't match. So we see it looks like ShamWow planting down a spine crawler at the front of his base. at 37 to 44 food. Meanwhile, in Crabtastic's main, continuing to mine gas, but we don't see any developments from either player. No Spire, no Roach Warren. ShamWow having a little bit, I think perhaps too many spine crawlers being built right now. Just one probably would have been okay. But this is a great position for either player to begin building some kind of layer, doing some sort of mobile tech rather than going for more and more Zerglings, but it looks like Crabtastic is really going crazy on the Zerglings.
Crabtastic loves the Zergling. He just finished off 12, got another batch of 6 coming out, and he's just building more. Whoa,
ShamWow with the money Baneling land, making it so dangerous to continue with this aggression, but we see ShamWow.
Well, now he's just trying to get that information, right? Like that's what he's going to try to do with those lings at this point. And ShamWow easily pulling back his lings, going to defend that ramp. Really close. Oh, actually, well, I mean, I guess that's one way to make use of 2 lings that were otherwise dead.
Magic the Gathering players call that a 2-for-1. Managed to eliminate that one Baneling with 2 of his own Zerglings. Oh, wait, that's backwards. Magic the Gathering players wouldn't like that either. Finally, we see a layer going down for ShamWow, who is in an incredibly good, entrenched defensive position.
Oh, man, and ShamWow coming in for the cleanup.
Oh!
Doesn't land the Baneling.
But it looks like Crabtastic, again, he knows the dance. He's going to get as absolutely close as possible before committing. Now we see Crabtastic taking a fast third. This is a play that I've been increasingly liking as I've been watching Liquid Ret stream, opting for mobility as his defense. Not strong units like Roaches just yet, but he's just going to be threatening counterattacks nonstop. ShamWow getting up his Roach Warren looks slightly more defensive than the opponent. Wouldn't be surprised to see Mutas pop down, but with this fast of a layer, fast Roaches is equally as large a threat.
Especially because of where J-Dub, that's not J-Dub, because of where Crabtastic is right now, taking that third. If we do see a lot of Roaches get on the map, we're going to see Crabtastic having a really hard time dealing with it.
Yeah, I mean, the amount of macro that ShamWow is going to be able to sustain once he starts getting a lot of drones up is going to really put a lot of pressure on. There's the Spire. Now, will he begin getting Roach speed? Often players will just plop down that Roach speed upgrade knowing that soon enough they'll transition back to it. But, I mean, there are a lot of people who are those Mutaling purists devoting purely to Mutaling because they're Mutaling purists. Do I need to keep explaining this? Let me draw a diagram.
Pure pretty much means that they only like Mutalists and Zerglings. Together, that makes them a Mutaling purist.
Don't disagree. We see Crabtastic continuing to add on more Banelings. Again, kind of carefully planting them here. There's a Changeling that walks right on by. And Crabtastic, oh, full scout coming in from ShamWow, but being very careful. Spore Crawler being built literally directly under that Overlord. Now, this is not an offensive Spore Crawler. He actually is worried about Mutalisks.
Wait a minute.
He's not who you were on day 5 of ever playing in RTS. I can build a turret under his Overlord, and if he doesn't see it, I'll kill it.
I would almost expect that after the first attack, with how far away that Overlord is, it'll still get away. Because of the auto move. Well, now we'll find out.
Let's see what happens. And it's at 67. Unburrow quickly. Okay. In other news, Crabtastic is getting his Hydralisk Den up. I think that is the perfect decision. If my layer is late, I need to get a faster anti-air up. Hydralisk build so quickly. Here's another attempt by the Epic Zerg. Zynga Zerg! Carefully positioning and not losing a single Baneling there. Very nice play by both players.
And now the one issue moving into this area of the game as we see ShamWow start to move into getting his Spire up is that right now Crabtastic could possibly have an issue defending that third because he hasn't been working on his creep spread. So getting those Hydras over there, just make up for it with Spore Crawlers.
Yeah, but I think that's a great point that the amount of Spore Crawlers that Crabtastic's going to have to make has to make up for this lack of creep adjointment. Hydralisks off creep may as well be bunkers. But Hydralisks on creep move almost as fast as Hydralisks.
You can't sell them back.
Yeah. Hydralisks that you cannot sell, or bunkers that... Your joke was funny. Listen, Crabtastic trying to break down these destructible debris, but it's going to take some big pain there. Right now, Crabtastic is just macroing up with a lot of those basic Roach Hydra compositions.
And now, what I want to see is what ShamWow is going to start doing as he starts cranking out those Mutalisks, because this could be a really crucial point. If he's able to spread Crabtastic thin enough, he could really force him into building too many defensive units, possibly overbuilding Spore Crawlers, and not focusing on his macro as hard.
Yeah, and I mean, one of the big, oh my gosh, I think I see actually what ShamWow's doing. ShamWow is going to be building just a couple Mutalisks. He has 5 out right now. You see them on the map. And look at the vision control for ShamWow. Has a good lockdown on the map. Crabtastic sees only a little bit far forward with an Overseer. And with these Mutalisks coming in, ShamWow may very well make too many Hydralisks.
Yep.
And what is ShamWow going to do in response? ShamWow is simply going to mass up roaches all of a sudden, and this Hydra-heavy army is not going to be in good shape.
And now, surprisingly, it doesn't seem like we've seen Crabtastic really over-prepare. He is continuing to build a couple additional Hydralisks, but we've also seen that he's began building quite a few roaches of his own.
Yeah, we see that he's only built 6 Hydralisks. Very nice just management of his larva right there. Not getting too over-eager, not making way more Hydralisks than he needs, and running the risk of dying to some roach transition. But still, ShamWow's doing such a good job. The Zynga Zerg, the green Zynga Zerg, eliminating any chance that the Epic Zerg has.
That map control is going to end up helping him a lot moving throughout the game. Especially because, really, we already see Crabtastic is in a tough position. He can't get any information. He doesn't have flyers on the field. Oh, and ShamWow now also building a lot of infestors.
Oh no! Has to reveal the Hydralisk drop. Accidentally right-clicking on the Overlord, loading up. I highly doubt he was trying to transport from here to there. But it looks like Crabtastic is moving out, trying to maybe pick off Overlords. Getting, I think that perhaps a large drop in the main could be an extremely brutal way to take down ShamWow, but these little tiny Hydra pokes I don't think will hurt that much.
The triple Hydralisk drop is the evolution of the 4-Fester hit squad.
That is true. Because, I mean, if they're not going to be able to move when they're off creep anyways, you may as well fly them around in their own personal Hindenburg. So we see that ShamWow now taking the top left expansion as well. Great choice. I mean, look at all the movement of units up to this side. Completely leaves the main vulnerable. Great expansion choice by ShamWow.
Ooh, and now Crabtastic's starting to get a little frisky, moving out on the map. Now, given that right now ShamWow does have...
Oh,
man.
No! Oh, why did we fill the Hindenburg with gasoline? And it looks like Crabtastic will burst into, it looks like a little drooly puddle of blood that will float downward into space. And it looks like ShamWow has so many roach infester. 31 roaches to 20 roaches. Ooh, but we do see the infester buildup has begun back in the Epic Zerg's base.
Ooh, and now, so Crabtastic is going to have to pull back the remainder of his army and group up with those units. Oh, man, and we're actually starting to see ShamWow push out possibly what could end up being a little too much. If he does get to that base, just as Crabtastic is able to build up his defenses, he could be in a rough position, but fortunately enough for him, it seems like he just has a really healthy supply lead anyway.
Ooh, yeah, ShamWow. 193 to 158. Opening up the tabs, we see that the army supply is a lot bigger for ShamWow, and this army supply that just popped up, that has been building roaches. 17 roaches being constructed right now. And what ShamWow's doing is just peeling open all the possible attack avenues, so Crabtastic has to defend while ShamWow comfortably secures a 4th and a hive.
And everything else he wants ever.
And upgrades. He's even going to stop by that gas station we referred to in 2012.
He knows he's got the time.
He has the time indeed.
The world's not ending. Don't worry about it. I'm fine. It's cool. It's cool.
It's just another Wednesday.
And again, we can see that map control is really just paying off for ShamWow because...
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I think that he might have barely gotten information up there about the 4th base. But clearly he's just not going to be able to do anything about it because ShamWow has control of the center of the map and he's got a ground army.
Yeah, the instant he puts these bunny ears on the hatchery, he can easily defend against small counterattacks from Zerglings, even some sort of roach burrow. And look at this, ShamWow, going for Ultralisk tech. Looks like he's going to use that immunity for the Ultralisk to bash through. But here's the first big engagement. Huge fungals. Everything covered in green. Couple of infested Terrans being plopped down, and now it looks like Crabtastic has a little bit of an edge given how many incredible fungals he just laid down. But ShamWow with the macro having slightly more units, Mutalisk popping in, playing Ghost, sniping off all those infestors, and in almost even exchange.
Now, at the same time, the important thing to note is that we saw that ShamWow did get out there, got very offensive, did a great job in the battle, but he was slightly slower on repopulating his army, so that did mean that Crabtastic's going to have additional forces out sooner, but ShamWow being the smart player that he is pulling back those forces, waiting for his own reinforcements. Oh,
Ultralisk coming in right now. And we see Crabtastic doing a nice job with these small roach drops. Just the 5 Mutalisks of ShamWow have been more than enough to deny these time and again throughout the game. But Crabtastic's trying to do anything he can. This really hasn't been that many workers killed off in this game, but if somehow Crabtastic can kill off a lot, that would be his ticket to stepping back into the lead.
And he's really going to have to pull off something really big at this point, right? Because effectively, the more time that goes on, the more that ShamWow is just going to pull ahead. And we haven't seen ShamWow do anything too crazy. He was even very smart with his Mutalisk play, not even using them to really do too much pushing. I think that's the same 5 Mutalisks from the entire game, and they have really gotten their money's worth picking off another Hindenburg. You'd think they would learn after the first time.
First you don't succeed, keep building Hindenburgs.
Fill them. Just fill them with flammable gas.
It didn't work. Well, I'll just retire and get into the Titanic business. Looks like Crabtastic now holding the centralized watchtower in the main base. ShamWow trying to get those 3/3 upgrades up. We'll get them for the roaches. Doesn't exactly need them for the Ultralisks at this point. The main benefit of the Ultralisks is that fungals do nothing to them except damage. It does not stun. It does not slow. He can keep trundling forward and overrunning. It looks like Crabtastic is taking the more difficult to defend vulnerable gold expansion. He needs some way to catch back up.
And this could be that exact window. Now, we do see that both the players are getting right up to that supply cap mark, so it's going to be a question of whether or not ShamWow lets him live long enough. This is going to be a big, bloody exchange. Oh, and we don't actually see very many infestors from either players. Oh, and there we go. Just death landing that.
Wow, a huge fungal right in mid, but these infested Terrans at the front lines absorbing a lot of damage. The arc advantage goes very clearly to Crabtastic. From Team Epic, the Zynga Zerg is forced to retreat, replenishing with just roaches. And Crabtastic says, great idea, and begins replenishing with just roaches. While he secures that center expansion. Yeah, and I love the fact that he has this gold up now. That's going to allow him to easily sustain all 4 hatcheries with non-stop larvae churning out roaches. Could probably even get a macro hatch, but the hive is very late for Crabtastic.
And right now it actually looks like Crabtastic definitely has the upper hand in terms of where the expansions are because of where his army is.
Yes,
it's gonna,
absolutely.
We're going to see ShamWow having a much harder time getting his units out to meet up with his army. Anything that he builds at that 4th base isn't really going to be able to get to the main force.
I mean, even a small drop up here could do huge damage. And there's no way that ShamWow could possibly defend it. ShamWow had a great choice of expanding up there when he had map control, but now that it's gone, it's suddenly going to start hurting him more than helping. And we see the Zerglings now waltzing up to try to do a little bit of damage, but those spine crawlers are up and done. And can he pick them off? Spine crawlers, it looks like
the drones.
Drones are popping into the fray. And it looks like it will be just barely enough to knock that down. And oh my gosh, Green going for the Nidus Worm. Where is it? Is it in the main? Is it at the expansion? It's way far protected back at the natural. We see some Overlords here. Oh, this could be a huge blow.
Very large.
We see Crabtastic in the right position. Expanding. Both players are maxed. Look at the amount of money that Crabtastic has. There's the Nidus network just now finishing up.
Oh, loading up before he decides where he's going to put that worm. Oh, and there goes the worm just out of Crabtastic's vision. This could hurt.
No. Oh, Crabtastic looks like... Does he see it? He does! He can actually spot it, but he hasn't managed to see that little green dot on his mini-map. Oh, and ShamWow now unloading all of his units. Crabtastic goes for the counterattack, but ShamWow was prepared. A brilliant maneuver.
Now ShamWow doing a great job preparing for that ZVZ base trade. He is going to be able to do a lot of damage up here, and then he can additionally use that Nidus Worm to get back into his own base. Now right now ShamWow really doesn't have too much to worry about, but because he's going to be able to repop and gather up with his units in his own base behind that very, very strong spine crawler line.
Oh, it looks like the Roach Warren has been taken down. Where's the Roach Warren being rebuilt? Somewhere, indeed, in the middle of the map, the safest place on the map. Looks like, oh, the Infestor's walking headfirst into the Spine Crawlers, and he loses all the Infestors. And in the meantime, it looks like ShamWow has pulled back a portion of his army. Beautiful decision-making by ShamWow. The Ultralisks sitting up in the top bleachers with a nice brew and a hot dog, waiting for the battle in the right time. And now they're stepping in to the fray, and it looks like ShamWow with his amazing decision-making, the Zynga Zerg, securing the win. Oh, what a brutal position to be in as Crabtastic with 4K, 2K trying to spend it as quickly as possible, but losing hatches in rapid succession.
If you're marginally behind, all you have to do is build 20 spine crawlers and Nidus's base.
That's actually not an untrue statement in any regard. I mean, that's a great way to bust back through any sort of defensive line, force a counterattack. The Nidus Worm really making a lot of cameos in the ZVZ matchup, and now with a little bit of hug and ShamWow's Roach is doing significantly more damage. Crabtastic cannot manage to regather his troops up. And after a great exchange, there it is, the Zynga Zerg managing to up the series to 2-1.
Yeah, so Zynga having a really great showing from both of their Zerg players so far. We'll see what they're going to do in Game 4. That does bring the score up to 2-1.
Zynga leads the series. I mean, they did get second place in last season. Not surprised to see them performing so well here in Season 2. We're going to go ahead and hop off to a little bit of a break.